Welcome back to From the Shed End. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back if you're new here as part of the live stream. Make sure you get involved in the chat. Let us know your thoughts. We're back. We're back. It's Friday. It's a good day. It's a cold Friday. It's a cold Friday, but it's also a good Friday. It means that Chelsea are back in action after the international period. We're back in action. I'm looking forward to it. I'll be honest. I'm looking forward to obviously Chelsea, Burnley. 12:30 kickoffs are never easy. They are never easy. But before we get into today's video, please, as always, make sure you subscribe. You hit the like button on this video. Help the algorithm. Help us help the algorithm. Let us get this channel up to where it needs to be. Get the view count up. So, you know, if you're involved in a live stream, again, make sure you let us know. If you're part of the live stream, tune in. Give us your thoughts, your comments, all the rest of it. But Chelsea back in action at last. Maresca gave his press conference earlier on today. And of course, every time I do these live streams, I always have to say the same thing. It feels like we can never have a dull moment. There can never be nothing exciting happening at Chelsea. There always has to be something where we just can't have a quiet weekend. We can't just have a quiet weekend. We can't just come back from no injuries from international break. The worst thing was the injury that we're going to talk about in a minute is the injury that didn't even happen on international duty. It's mental. But before we do that, of course, we know that Estevão, we're going to talk about Estevão today as well. We're going to talk about Burnley in a bit more depth. I want to talk about Antonio Rüdiger, who has been linked again with Chelsea. And it's going to be a very unlikely thing to happen, but I think it's still something we should talk about. So let's talk about Antonio Rüdiger coming back to Chelsea. Is that even a possibility? Can that happen? Do we think it can happen? Let us know in the comment section when we get to that point in the discussion. But good news around Estevão. Good performances against Tunisia and Senegal. We know that Enzo Fernandez didn't travel. We covered that on a previous video that he didn't travel with the Argentinian squad. So he's been at home recovering, resting for the last 2 weeks. Same for Pedro Neto as well. He didn't travel with the squad. So that's quite good as well. And also, Caicedo did travel, did play both games, 90 minutes in the international break of the recent international break. So, yeah, it's interesting because it's interesting because I feel like with Chelsea at the moment, we're in this position now where there's no more internationals till March. I think we can all give a round of applause for that one. But I feel like we're in that point now where we have to make sure that we don't. Burnley's going to be a difficult game. We'll talk about Burnley in a minute, but we can't slip up. And I feel like we already have. Let's get into some of it. First of all, before we do that, big up to Daniel in the comment section as well. João Pedro in the number 10 against Burnley. Please start Estevão against Burnley. We're going to talk about Estevão very, very soon as well. But let's get into what I want to get into, which will be around some of the comments that were made by Enzo Maresca in today's press conference. Now, we have to remember Cole Palmer has been out for some significant amount of time, which is not ideal. Hasn't played since the United game. I think he got, was it the West Ham, the West Ham game? I think he got injured in that game, the warm up, with the groin injury. But Enzo Maresca came out today to say he is probably not available for tomorrow for sure. Barcelona for sure. Arsenal for sure. Unfortunately, he had an accident at home with his toe, but it's nothing important. For sure, he is not back next week. He went on also to say that we don't know, it's fractured. The only thing that we know is he's not available for this week and next week. So in a nutshell, if you don't know what's happened, so Cole Palmer has basically recovered from the groin injury, which is great news. But he's also, in the meantime, injured himself by stubbing his little pinky toe, trying to go to the toilet or whatever he's been doing overnight. And he's fractured his small toe. Now, I'll be honest, it's not nice. It's not nice. I've been there. It's not nice. It's not a nice feeling to have when you stub your toe. And, yeah, it's just not good. It's not good at all. They're saying they can't hear me in the chat. Can't hear me in the chat. It's not good. You should be able to hear me. Let's see if we can find out why you can't hear me in the chat. Let's have a look. Yeah, it should be working. Maybe it should be working. I think I've just tested it. It's working in the chat. So I don't know if you can still hear me, but it's definitely working. So it might be something your end. But in terms of Cole Palmer, look, let's be honest. Cole Palmer was never going to start against Burnley. He was never going to start against Burnley. I think that's the thing. I think with Cole Palmer, he's missed a lot of football. I think he's missed about 10 weeks of football. So Cole Palmer was never going to start Saturday. You don't just throw Cole Palmer back into the team. That's never going to work. What I do think is there was potential for him to maybe start, or maybe definitely play a part in that Barcelona game, and you'd want to give him minutes in that game to then potentially see how he can play in the Arsenal game. Now, that isn't going to happen. We know that Maresca's confirmed that. But what I want to say as well is that I don't think Cole Palmer, I'm not saying this because I don't rate him. I think Cole Palmer is one of the best players in our squad. But I don't think it's the be-all and end-all at Chelsea. I generally don't think that. I don't think I'm seeing a lot of reactions online this morning with people stressing over it. Like, we've just played the last 2 months without Cole Palmer. And we've won games. It's not like we're struggling. We're down and out every game. I don't really understand the sort of 8 wins in 11 games since the original injury, the groin injury. So it's not like we're struggling to win games or we're lost without him. It's like we have to build the team around him. I generally don't think at this point now we're at that point where we need to be at panic stations because we don't have Cole Palmer in the team. I think we've got Estevão. I think we've got João Pedro. I think we've got Pedro Neto. We've got players that can just fit in, and they've been doing that. It's not like look, I get it. Arsenal's going to be a difficult game. Barcelona, they're one of the best teams in Europe right now. I get it. It's not going to be easy, but it was never going to be easy with or without Cole Palmer. I generally don't see that. I don't understand the sort of. Maybe I see the frustration because you want to see a player like that back, but look, I mean, the thing with fracture. I mean, I've had a fractured toe before. It's not nice. It's not nice. I fractured my toe, but 2 toes playing football, separate occasions. So I know how it's not nice, and it's not about because there's not much you can do for a fractured toe, and there's no timeline. So with Maresca coming out and saying he'll miss the next 3 games, that's just because we know as a precautionary he's not going to be able. He can't kick a football this week, but it could be beyond that. And as mad as it sounds, the worst thing you can ever have is playing with like broken bones, especially in your feet during this point of the year when it's cold and all those kind of things. It does factor in. So I don't think it's the be all and end all though. I don't think we should be panicking about the fact that Cole Palmer is not in the team. I think it'd be frustration for Cole Palmer because he wants to be in that World Cup squad. And there's only 2 more games up until the World Cup now, I think, that he's got an opportunity to get himself on the plane to America next year. So for him, it's a frustration because he needs to be in that. He needs to be playing football. There's a lot of players in that England team that can play off the wide. You think Saka would potentially be the right-sided attacker. You think there's 2-3 players that come to mind: Foden, Bellingham, already 2 of them that can play in the 10. Eze can play in the 10. So Cole Palmer's already on the back foot, excuse the pun, that for him to even be considered in that England World Cup squad. So he has to come back fresh. He has to come back fresh from this injury. He can't come back and... Me personally, I want to ask people in the chat actually. I don't know if he just walks back in. I said it on Twitter the other week. I don't think he generally comes back into this Chelsea squad straight away. I don't think he just walks back in. I generally don't think he just walks back into the team. Because you're looking at Estevão, who we're going to talk about in a minute. He's playing some amazing football. And he's not just doing it for club. He's not just doing it for club. He's doing it for country as well. He's the face of Brazil right now. We're going to talk about Estevão in a minute. But I don't think Cole Palmer just walks back into our team. I generally don't. I don't think he's nailed down a position that well. And it wasn't like Cole Palmer was playing amazing football before the injury. It was only, and even in the Club World Cup, you think, again, I'm not trying to bash him. I'm not saying that he's a bad player or that we don't deserve him, but yeah, they did lie. They said journalists has lied. Daniel's in the chat saying that the journalist lied about Cole Palmer coming back. Yeah, I think personally that, so let's make him a mod. Yeah, I generally think though. I think yeah, I think Cole Palmer's fine. I think he's fine. I think he's a good enough player to get himself back into the team, but I just don't think he walks straight back in. I don't think he just walks straight back in. I think like any player, he has to earn his spot back in that team. And with Estevão playing the way he's playing, we know that João Pedro, we want to see more from him in that 10. But it's not, for me personally, as it stands right now, one, I wouldn't have played Cole Palmer tomorrow anyway, because I think you can't be out for that long. It's 10 weeks, almost. You can't expect a player to just walk back into the team from a groin injury and just play 90 minutes. So I don't think he was ever going to start the game tomorrow. I think that, as Chelsea fans, I think we'd be naive to think that. But I do think he would have played some part in that Barcelona game. And I think he would definitely you'd want him in the Arsenal game, which is a massive game next weekend. So, yes, I get it. But at the same time as well, like I said, Estevão's there, Pedro Neto, João Pedro. We've got players in there. I even want to see Buonanotte. I want to see what Buonanotte can do. I'm not saying again he should start in midweek in the Champions League or next weekend against Arsenal, but we've got him there. What have you brought him in for? Why have you brought him in if it's a case of just he's just here. He's just learning. He's just training at Cobham. We need to see more. So it's a blow. It's a blow. It's a blow to lose him. But I don't see the outrage. I'll be honest. I don't see the outrage. I generally don't see the outrage. Let's go back to some of the stuff that was said in the press conference as well, because there was quite a bit in there, to be fair. It was a decent press conference. So let's go back and try and unpick some more of it, because we did know. Yeah, I mean, that's a good point to make as well. So Cole Palmer was actually back on the pitch training. He was he was training with the team. He was back. He'd recovered from the groin injury. So to do this, obviously, it's unfortunate for him. Maresca was asked about Cole Palmer's World Cup hopes, and he's obviously, Maresca's going to back his boy. He said, for me personally, Cole is one of the best players, no doubt that he can play in any international team, but it is down to Tuchel at the end of the day. There's a bit more as well. So, I mean, they spoke a bit in depth about Cole Palmer. They did mention as well about the bomb squad. So they mentioned around Axel Disasi, who, if you went on our socials during the international break, you'll know that Axel Disasi was reintegrated back into the main group for training. Now, I think what's to take from that is very much a pinch of salt, because Maresca was asked a couple of times this morning in the press conference around Axel Disasi. Is he back in the squad? Is he out of the bomb squad? And Maresca rightfully said, actually, no, he's not. He said, we've just brought him back into the team to make up numbers last week or this week into the training sessions. And he has actually been playing for the development squad, and he's helping out there. And I think Maresca tried to diplomatically say basically that Axel Disasi's future is very short and brief at Chelsea as it stands at the moment. And the same for Raheem Sterling. I don't think there's any difference from what we thought before the international break about them. They're not part of the squad. I mean, Sterling, I don't think is even part of the dev squad, but we know that Axel Disasi has been training with them, captained the team a couple of weeks ago. So it is a shame for him, but at the same time as well, I always have to question the mentality of the player as well, because if that was me, what have you done to get yourself there? What have you done to get yourself there? Why are you in the bomb squad? Why are you in the dev squad? Why are you captaining the under 21s? You were playing up here 3 years ago, and now you're down here, which is no disrespect to the development players at all. But if you're a fully pledged first team regular a couple of seasons ago, and you're playing top flight football in the Premier League, to go from that to where you are now, something's happened. So if I was Axel Dazazi, I'd be questioning my decisions in January, and you've got to get a move. He has to get a move. The same for Sterling. The same for Sterling as well. A little bit more on Philip Jurgensen as well, who this week came out and said he needs to be playing more football in order to try and get himself into the Danish squad if they do make it through to the World Cup, eventually through the playoffs. Maresca said here that he spoke with Philip at the beginning of the season, but he hasn't spoke to him in the last few days. He said all the players that don't play a lot, they want more minutes. It's completely normal, which of course is true. I think Jurgensen does need the move. I think he does need a move. I think he needs to move away. I'd love us to recall Mike Penders. I think Mike Penders, for me, I'm not saying it's the finished article at all, but I think we need a goalkeeper that's going to test Sanchez, and I don't think Jurgensen's that goalkeeper. So I think bringing back Penders, I don't think it will happen. I think he'll stay at Strasbourg, but obviously Slanina's still there at the club, so I think he'll be the backup to Sanchez. Hopefully Sanchez doesn't pick up any big injuries this season, because it does leave us a bit short. But yeah, I mean, Jurgensen, I think it's a shame for him, because I did have high hopes for him when we signed him, but he seems to have fell off a cliff. So maybe the best solution for him is to get a loan deal, move out somewhere, try and get himself, rediscover himself, get himself back into some sort of, I don't know, pecking order for international and possibly club level. But yeah, it's not looking good for him. Estevão, let's leave Estevão for a minute, because we're going to talk about him after this. But Malo Gusto, this was interesting in the press conference, because Maresca was asked about Gusto. Apparently, we've not lost with Malo Gusto starting this season in the team, which I wasn't actually aware of. Maresca was asked about his how dynamic he can be in terms of the versatility. And Maresca said here that we've said many times that Malo is the main player in the way that we want him to play. He can play in different positions. We like players that can be dynamic. Personally, I consider him a main player for us. I can't fault that. Now, obviously, Reece James did play in the internationals for Tuchel. I think he was he on the bench for the second game? I can't remember now. But either way, he played in the England games. So yeah, we'll have to see. I think Malo Gusto, for me, I still think, not that he's inconsistent, Malo Gusto, but I do feel, from the Gusto that we got to see a couple of seasons ago, I do feel like he's dropped a bit of confidence, and the ability, the capability doesn't seem to be there with him. So maybe that's a factor as well. Bit of news on the injury front as well. So as I said, Moises Caicedo came back very late last night. Oh, if that's true, and he only came back last night, which was Thursday, training today, travel for the game. It's a tough one. I really wish he didn't play the 290 minutes. I think they were both friendlies as well. That's what makes it even worse. Like, why is Caicedo playing 2 friendlies? It doesn't make any sense. I don't know. Will he start? He's travelled back. He'll have a training session today. He's got to travel up to Burnley, Turf Moor. I'm sure the players will be travelling up. They'll be travelling up tonight, I'd imagine. Stay in a hotel, whatever. There for the game in the morning. But it's a lot. Benoit Badiashile is available. Apparently, Maresca said that he's back. He's available. He can play tomorrow if we need him. Enzo Fernandez and Pedro Neto, as I said before, they were they didn't travel with their countries, and they stayed back, try and recover some of their energy. So yeah, it's tough, man. It's tough. I think it's tough for Enzo, because he's got to get this right now. We need to make sure that whatever happens over this next week, that he definitely gets things right tactically on the pitch, 100%. Let's move on. Let's talk about Estevão Willian, who, for me, the new face of Brazil. He's got to be above Vinicius Jr., above Rodrigo, above Richarlison. This Estevão Willian is the face of Brazilian football right now, and he deserves it as well. He deserves it. I mean, Real Madrid must be kicking themselves. They must be kicking themselves. Real Madrid signed Endrick, thinking Endrick was Estevão, and we've ended up with Estevão. Now, this smile that I got on my face is going to be short-lived, because in about 2 seasons' time, he will end up at Real Madrid or Barcelona. We know this. It's going to happen. A Brazilian is never... You can't get too comfy with a Brazilian in English football, because they will eventually leave and go to what they see as the promised land in the Liga. So I personally think, yeah, okay, Estevão, for me is... Yeah, he's I think he's decent. I think he's decent. I think he's decent. I think he's top notch. I'm not saying he's world class. I nearly did a minute ago, but I don't think he's world class yet. I think he's on the cusp of showing us that he will be world class. He will be world class. I don't think there's many young players at 18 years of age that is doing what he is doing. In football today, you can talk about previous, the Michael Owens, the Wayne Rooneys, and Neymar at 18 and whatever else, but I'm talking about currently right now. There's not many. He's playing for Brazil, Estevão, and he's doing what Vinicius should be doing, Rodrigo should be doing, and I don't mean that in a negative way either. I mean, he's doing things that, like, he's stealing the show in the games, which isn't a bad thing, but you'd expect Vinicius to be doing that. Even in our games for Chelsea, how many times have Vinicius, as Estevão, just done something, some trickery, or he's done something, or he's been part of something, or he's got the assist, or he scored the goal. And the fact that he's taking penalties, Paquetá missed his penalty for Brazil. Estevão tucked his. And the goal that he scored against Senegal was you don't just... That's class. That's proper class football, quality football. Like, it was the first time hit, just wrapped his foot around it, and it's a goal. And it was sweeter as well, because it was I think it was against Mendy. I think the goal that he scored against Senegal was against Mendy. So, but look, he's got 5 goals in 11 caps for Brazil. He scored against Senegal, scored against Tunisia. Already got 4 goals and assists for Chelsea this season, despite coming off the bench in most of those games. He's been praised as a football genius who could eventually challenge for the Ballon d'Or. I'm going to say this from now. He will win the Ballon d'Or at some point. Estevão Willian, whether it's at Chelsea, whether it's at Real Madrid or another club, he's going to win the Ballon d'Or. He'll win the Ballon d'Or. He's that good. He's that good. Dribbling, passing, taking players on, scoring goals, creating assists. He can do it all. He can do it all. He's a defender's nightmare. He's an absolute nightmare. Inside, outside, he can do it all. And to think we've got him, and this is why I'm going back to my point about Cole Palmer. I don't know if Estevão continues to do this level of football week in, week out, and João Pedro starts showing a bit of form. Gittins, Garnacho, got Pedro Neto on the left of that. I don't know, where does Cole Palmer fit into that team? Because for me, if you ask me today, right now, obviously without the injury to Cole Palmer, and both of them are fully fit, who am I playing in the 10 or who am I playing on the right? It's Estevão Willian. Now, do I maybe do I drop João Pedro and put Cole Palmer as the 10? Maybe. But I'm telling you from now, and Maresca said this a couple of weeks ago, that actually he likes what his idea and his intentions for Estevão Willian is to play him on the right for the next couple of seasons or so. And then he said he'd done the same for Cole Palmer. Cole Palmer played out on the right when he was at City for Maresca. And then even I think some games for Maresca, I think he's ended up on the right. But he said he now sees Cole Palmer as a 10. He said when you build up that strength in the Premier League, you can move into the 10 role. He'll do the same with Willian if he stays there and Maresca's still there. But I do think personally, Estevão Willian has to start tomorrow's game. He has to start tomorrow. I don't even think it's a question mark. It's not even a question mark anymore. He has to start. I don't want to hear all this sort of, we've got to wait, or we've got to blend him into the team. I don't want to see all that. I don't want to hear all that. I don't want to hear all that. We need to make sure that he's in the team and he's playing football. He has to be in the team week in, week out. He has to be in the team week in, week out. There can be none of this sort of He's 18. So what? He's 18. That's great. He'll be 19 in a couple of months. Let's put him in the team. Let's put him in the team. That's what I think anyway. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong for thinking that. Maybe I'm wrong for thinking that. Maybe I'm what if he gets an injury? But right now, he's showing that he can play as many games as you need him to play. He has to start the games. He has to start the games. He's a defender's nightmare. Why would you have someone like, if we don't play him, we'll end up losing him. And that's the reality of the situation. We'll end up losing him because you can't have that level of talent on the bench and not play him. And against a Burnley team, which you would potentially think will be a back four, possibly a back five. You never know with Scott Parker. But you look at maybe a back five of Walker, Twanzebe, Hartman on the left as well. So it'd be Hartman and potentially Anthony on that left-hand side for Burnley. Anthony's going to have to be constantly tracking back. Hartman will have a nightmare against him. Just play him. Unleash him. What's the worst, apart from the obviously worst case scenario, he picks up a mad injury and he's out for the Barca game and he's out for the Arsenal game and beyond that. But apart from that, if that could happen to any player, that could happen to all 11 players on our pitch. You've got to start him. He has to start the game. Estevão Willian is too good to be sat on anybody's bench. Anybody's bench. And I'll guarantee you, if he starts the game, he scores the goals. And if he scores a goal, he might even assist you a goal as well, because he's that good. Chelsea fans, tell me the last time we had a player who, maybe it's Hazard, but tell me the last Chelsea player that we had that made you think you can win any game with this player in your team. It's not, because Cole Palmer has moments, but he's been missing a lot in seasons. We haven't seen that with Estevão yet. And of course, it's a different sample size in terms of how many games he's played, how many games he's started for Chelsea so far. But in terms of a player that you just watch, Joe Cole, when I was growing up, like younger days, Joe Cole was one for me. Hazard, Iron Robin, those players, you just watch them and you just think, wow, that's brilliant. But they make it look easy. We don't have these gems don't come along that often. They just don't. It's like having a McLaren in a garage, but you don't drive it. What are you afraid of? Take the McLaren out of the garage. Let's take it for a spin. Let's see what happens. Let's see how fast it can go. That's what we've got to do with Estevão Willian. We have to use him because this is a really critical point in our season. This is a critical point in our season. 100%. Let's go back to the chat. See what Daniel's saying in the chat as well. Yeah, what game would start Estevão Burnley? Or I'd start him in both. I'd start Estevão in both games. I'd start Estevão against Burnley tomorrow, and then I'd start him against Barcelona. Again, I don't get this like fascination with like he can only play one game a week. He's not 81. He's 18. Think about what you was doing at 18. How many games was you playing? I was playing 3 games a day sometimes at 18. 18. He's 18. We've got to use him. He starts, for me personally, he starts against Burnley, he starts against Barcelona, he starts against Arsenal. If he can't play 3 games in a week, he needs to go and take up paddle or something else, because this is the expectation that's going to be needed from a player of this quality. 3 games a week is nothing. It's nothing. Daniel's also saying in the chat that Jurgensen is awful. I agree. I would start Gusto against Burnley. It's a fair shout. I think Reece James, I'd rather see Reece James. Now, Reece James is a different kettle of fish. He's a different kettle of fish. But yeah, I think Reece James we have to make sure he gets through the. Now, he's different than Estevão. We're talking about Reece James, he's different. He has to start. We have to pick and choose when he plays games. But Estevão, no way. He has to start every game possible. Over the Christmas festival, feel like we're going to run down Caicedo, Enzo Fernandez. What is the update on Asugo? Asugo, I think, is meant to be back mid-December. So, but again, he's missed too much football. So I think with Asugo, he's not going to come back in and just be thrown straight into a game. I think it's going to take some time for him. You maybe, hopefully, if you progress through the Carabao Cup against the Cardiff, then the FA Cup games coming up, you might see him play those games. Maybe gets a couple of Champions League games as well. But I think, yeah, Caicedo, Fernandes, Santos is still there as well. So we've got Santos in the midfield. We do need to swap and change that over the Christmas period because it's busy. It's busy times for us over the Christmas period. Chelsea have had a special adapt football boot made for Cole Palmer, ordered to help him return from freak toe injury suffered. You could give him the golden boot. I generally, with fractures as well, especially in your hands or your toes, there's not much, you can't do anything. So it's one of those, there's nothing you can do for it. And if I'm being honest, you probably never really recover over those because of the way where the bone is and the breaks normally are in your toes, your fractures. You never recover from them properly. You always feel some slight pain in them. So he just needs to. I sound like Roy Keane, but he just needs to get on with it. Just get on with it. Just put your boots on. I'm pretty sure Cole Palmer has stubbed his toe before and played football. I think this is just a story that's been made out of something. Maybe the groin injury isn't as maybe it's more complicated than we first thought. Maybe this is a cover-up story. We've been known over recent times to cover up certain things. We don't know. But yeah, going back to Estevão, that's a good question there. Who would I take out for Estevão, Neto or Garnacho? Well, Estevão for me would start on the right. So I'd start him on the right. Then I'd have João Pedro as the 10. And then I'd have Pedro Neto on the left of the attack with possibly Liam Delap up front. For me, that's... I think Garnacho is good. I think Gittins is good, but in spells, I don't think they give you a solid 60 minutes or so. Estevão makes our attack better and he makes stuff happen 100%. 100%. Everything Estevão does in our games, there's, like I said before, there's not many players that I can think of in the Premier League. Actually, let me go one step further. Let me go one step further. There's not many players in the Premier League right now, in that position, that is playing as good as Estevão Willian for club or country. So I can't name that many. And I'd say this as well. Can we all agree that Estevão Willian would walk into every single Premier League team right now? Because he walks into Arsenal's, he walks into Liverpool's, he walks into Man City's, he's in our team, he should be starting every single game. It's not even a question whether he walks into Tottenham's, we know that. So he walks into Manchester United's. He walks into these teams. This is a player, this is a superstar we've got on our hands. This is a superstar. We've got him on our hands. We need to use him, in my opinion. I'm not saying I'm always right, but in my opinion, he has to start the games for me personally. But let's see if we can get the latest on Antonio Rüdiger, who is out of contract, I think, this season. And there has been talk about whether he comes back to Chelsea. I personally would like to see that, but you never know. Here we go. Does it happen? Can we bring him back? It says here there's a lot of noise that CFC are looking to bring Antonio Rüdiger back to the bridge from Real Madrid in January. Rüdiger, now 32, left Chelsea in 2022 to join Real Madrid, but he now seems to have fallen out of favour with new manager Xabi Alonso. Chelsea's thinking is simple. The squad is stacked with talent but short of adults. They need a defender who can actually organise a backline, set standards and drag performances by force of personality. Rüdiger ticks every one of those boxes. Now, let's get into it, because I feel like Me, other Chelsea fans, I know Theo, who's usually on the podcast with me, we've all been saying we need leaders. We need someone at the back. We need not even at the back, actually. We just need a leader in the team. We need someone who's experienced things. That's not to take away what everyone in the team has experienced as it stands at the moment with our current team, but we need someone. I'd love it to be Thiago Silva, but we think that ship has sailed now. But I'm not against Antonio Rüdiger coming back to Chelsea. I'm not at all. And I actually feel like he didn't want to leave in the first place. I know there's a lot of sort of to and fro, and he could have signed a contract before the sanctions and all the rest of it. I get it. But you got to know your worth as well, especially in football. So if they were offering him a contract that he felt was undervaluing his part in the team at the time, I get why he wouldn't sign a deal. And then when he wanted to try and get that deal done, the sanctions came in. So we didn't really have an opportunity but to let him go. But anyway, the reason I don't think this happens, I'd love it to happen, but the reason I think it won't happen is because if you look at the profile of players we've brought in under this new ownership, and I've got to stop saying new ownership because it's not a new ownership anymore. Under this ownership, it goes against everything. It goes against all the bringing in younger players, building up for the next 2, 4, 5 seasons. It goes against all of those things. So I don't think, as much as we need experience in our team, as much as we need someone who probably understands the Chelsea way a little bit more, we need someone like that in the team. We know that. I just don't see it happening. I don't see it happening. I'd love it to happen. I'd love him to come back. I feel like he has got unfinished business with Chelsea. I feel like he's got unfinished business with us. I feel like he could come back. His contract expires in the summer, so he'll be a free agent. He has struggled for minutes. That is mainly down to the hamstring injuries that's ruled him out for pretty much most of this year, the whole of 2025. But apparently there's a lot of talk that we've contacted his reps. Now, however true this is, like I said, take it with a pinch of salt. But I mean, look, he's proven he's a winner. He's won the Champions League. You think about Levi Colwell, you think about Wesley Fofana, you think about Trevor Chalobah if he stays, Joao Heto, younger defenders. You think about all those younger defenders, what they could learn from Rüdiger. Now, I've just mentioned injuries. That's a big thing. We need someone who's not just going to come in and be a mentor. We need someone who's going to come in and actually be able to play games, critical, crucial games for us. And Rüdiger would bring a level of experience, but he has to keep himself fit if he was to come back. I'd love this deal to happen because I think if it happens, it just gives us that safety in our defensive line. It just gives us an extra. Now, I think he comes in if a player leaves our defensive line in the winter window or in the summer. Now, we know that Zazie potentially will leave. We know that Benoit Badiashile has been on the radar to leave. We know that Trevor Chalobah has been hanged in the shop window the last two seasons. So there is opportunity for defenders to leave. We have to remember Rüdiger's 32. So in terms of football, he's getting on a bit now. But to me, it makes sense. To me, it makes sense to have someone like Rüdiger in the team. Knows what it means to play for us. I think that's the key thing. He knows what it means to play for us. He knows what it means to have someone like that in our team. So I don't know. I think it makes perfect sense to bring him back. Whether the finances can be done, whether we go against the grain of what we've been trying to do in terms of the profile of players, is yet to be seen. But I'm thinking back to when Thiago Silva signed and the difference he made in our back line, the difference he made just being there, understanding what it meant, being able to guide some of the younger centre-backs, like even like a Levi Colwell. What did it mean when we had him in the team? How many times did he save us with a goal line clearance or just being in the right place at the right time, reading the game a bit better than maybe Trevor Chalobah or Wesley Fofana had for us, or even Tosin? Having him in that team, for me personally, would tick a lot of boxes. It does tick a lot of boxes. Having an experienced Champions League winning defender in your team would help Sanchez as well. Let's have it right. It helps Sanchez. It help him by having a bit more stability in the back line. One of the things I've been talking about on here for so long is having a consistent back line, a back four that you're happy with, that is consistently playing well. You can have a really bad, consistently bad back four, but when you've got a consistently good back four, it makes sense. This deal actually makes, when I'm talking it through now, it makes sense. It makes perfect sense, actually. Let me know what you think in the comments. What should we do? Should Rüdiger come back? Has he got unfinished business? Yeah, Daniel's on the chat saying we need experience in the dressing room and the young players to look up to. I'd happy for this deal. I would be as well. I'd be happy for the deal to happen, but like I said, I think it goes against a lot of the sort of principles and what the club are trying to do. But I think by doing so, you're missing that leadership. You're missing that experience. So I get why you want to sign all these 16-year-olds, 15-year-olds, and I've just been raving about Estevão being probably one of the best players I've watched in a very long time. But I do feel you need an element of experience and quality as well. Not just because, I mean, Scott Carson could say he's got experience, but I mean, come on. So you need someone who's got the experience and the quality. So I do question, has he still got the quality and can he keep himself injury free, especially in the Premier League where it's a bit more physical? But we know what it's not like we don't know him. We know what he's about. We know what he's about. We know what we all as Chelsea fans were hoping he would stay before he moved to Real Madrid. So it's not like we don't know him. We don't know what he's capable of. We know everything he can do. So for me personally, it's a no-brainer. He should be in the team. We should be trying to sign him in my head, but it goes against the principles of what the club are trying to do. Let me know what you think in the comments. As I said, don't forget, guys, subscribe if you're in here, like the video, all that good stuff. Let us know your thoughts. Now, we've got a big game coming up. And I say a big game because Arsenal next weekend is not going to be easy. We're currently third. Burnley is 17th. They've got the third worst defensive record in the last 5 Premier League games, 22 goals conceded. This can't be a game. I saw like a couple of clips, and I don't want to embarrass the person who was saying this because I'm sure the clip's gone viral, but I kind of get what she was saying. You must have always seen the clip I'm talking about. If you haven't, go and check it out, but you'll know. But I get it a little bit because we don't turn up against certain clubs that we should beat. But we do try against the Barcelonas and the Arsenals. So I get what she was trying to say. Maybe she could have articulated it in a better way, but I understood what she was saying. But my whole thing is 12:30s are never easy. I really hate 12:30 kickoffs. I think we played Forest the last international break off the back of off the back of internationals at 12:30. But there can't be excuses for that anymore. All this sort of 12:30 stuff. Look, referees and all that. Look, we've got a team that can beat Burnley. That's what it comes down to. Can our team beat Burnley, who is 17th? Or does Armando Broja and Leslie Okonchukwu come back and haunt us? That's the real questions we need to be asking ourselves. Forget the ref, forget any VAR decisions in the game, forget any of all that nonsense, forget about we don't normally turn up against Burnleys and, you know, the Leicesters and whoever else of the previous seasons. But this game here, we can't afford to lose this. We generally can't afford to lose this game. Now, I'm going to show you my lineup that I've gone with. So I've gone with Sanchez in goal. I've gone with Malo Gusto as the right back. I've gone with Wesley Fofana and Trevor Chalobah as the centre backs, with Marco Correa as the left back. I have gone with Moises Caicedo and Enzo Fernandez. Now, I think this is a massive debate here. Does he start? Because obviously he's only just come back from playing international football. But again, like someone in the chat said, you know, we don't really have a choice. Sugo's still out injured. Santos, maybe. Lavia's out, I think now, isn't he still? So I think maybe you give Caicedo a run out. If the game's going well, then you bring him off. Give him a bit of a rest because you do want him in that game against Barcelona on Tuesday. Enzo has to start for me. Now, I've gone with Pedro Neto, João Pedro, and of course, I'm not leaving him out of the team. Estevão Willian does start in my lineup. I've gone with Liam Delap as the number 9. And I think for me, this is why I think this is really important, because one of the things I've noticed from what Maresca's getting us to do at the moment, obviously goalkeeper's not, but we're playing here now. We're playing so much more football in this area. And as we know, I reckon it'll be a back 4 for Burnley. But I think one of the things we need to see a lot more of now, and we need to see it a hell of a lot more, because I remember Enzo Maresca saying that he doesn't like this. I remember when he was saying it last season, he doesn't like his fullbacks to overlap. But this season has changed a lot. We're playing these two out, splitting these two centre backs wider than we have before. And this is where we get caught out. This is the only thing I'll say about us playing the high line and overloading the box, is that we play, if we get caught on the counter-attack, which happens against, definitely happened against Man United. And I think it nearly happened against Liverpool. But Marco Correa is tucking in here. And this switches as well. So Gusto normally is on the overlap. But Marco Correa, again, are two attacking wide players here, tucking in, which is helpful. And you have Caicedo dropping here as well. What I think we need to do in this game is we need to make sure that Cullen and Florentino are the two players that are uncertain who to pick up. Because we should always, if we play the game we want to play, whether it's him here, Ogunchoku, you'd expect to be picking him up. He's got a choice here now. He's got a choice. Who am I picking up? The Lap, he should be getting a lot of service in this game. They will make it difficult. I think, not watching much of Burnley this season, but I think they'll sit back. I think they'll low block us. I think it'll be a difficult game. But one of the things Maresca has been able to do this season, certainly a lot of the times, is been able to make sure that we have opportunities to break down low blocks now. We've got Correa, as I said, bombing forward. We've got Gusto or James either dropping in, inverting into that midfield and adding extra bodies into the attacking phases of the game. Enzo as well is driving forward with the ball. So I think one of the key things we do have to guard against, though, is when we do invert, which is happening quite often within our team, there must be a way you can do this without bringing Sanchez out. Let's push our team back slightly. Now we've lost our keeper. Right. So when we're playing on this, we're playing this high line, which we're sort of playing here. Our two centre backs are normally here, and I would expect possibly that there could be a back 5 for Burnley, potentially. You never know, but I think they're going to be dropping back so much in this game tomorrow afternoon that they're going to make it difficult for us. The Lap, for me, I want to lump in the box. I don't want him drifting out here, which he does very well. He does it very well. I'm not saying he can't hold up the ball, but get yourself in the box. Get yourself in the box. Just realise it's by resetting the thing, it's brought Garnacho into the team, but don't worry about it. Neto, whoever it is, Estevão, I think will be there. But Gusto here, either make your run here, make Hartman have a problem. Just make it difficult. Make it difficult for them. Where's Estevão? Let's bring him back in. Let's take Garnacho out, because I don't think it'll be Garnacho. I think it'll be Estevão. Right, so when Estevão's here, Gusto, this is your option to get in this space here. That's all Gusto's got to do. Drive into that space there. Because Estevão, he can easily beat him. Easily. Round there, or again, vice versa. Estevão. Because Hartman's going to have these two here are going to have their work cut out. Anthony and Hartman. they're gonna have their work cut out tomorrow, regardless of whether it's whoever it is, whether it's Reece James or Estevão or whoever on that right side. They're gonna have to work. This is where, for me, you exploit the Burnley side. Not so much this side, because I think Kyle Walker, very good right back still. I think he's still got the pace to be able to deal with whether it's Neto or Garnacho on the left and Correa. I think that'd be a good battle between the two of them. Again, Kyle Walker won't be afraid to bum up as well in their transition, their counter attack. So we have to guard against that. But I do think we'll win. I think we've got a really good record at Turf Moor. I think we've got a really good record there. So I think we'll win. I'm not concerned by Burnley this season. I'm really not. See what the chat's saying. Would I rest João Pedro against Burnley? Nah. I think we're at a point where we can't rest players. I generally think we're at a point where we can't rest players anymore. So no, I wouldn't rest João Pedro. We need experience in the dressing room, young players to go look up to. Yep, I think that's why we need Rüdiger, 100%. Would you play Buonanotte in the 10 so João Pedro gets rest for Barcelona game? I don't think so. I think if the game's going away, which I think it will, and I think that'll be us being able to control it and dominate possession, create chances, we should score goals. And I think if we do that, you've got options. You've got the luxury of bringing off João Pedro. You've got the luxury of bringing off Estevão, Willian. You can maybe give Reece James 20-minute run out. Maybe you bring off Caicedo for Andre Santos. So you've got options, but I think the game has to be comfortable in order to do that. Because let's not make no mistake. Top 4, and for me personally, a push for the title is still the objectives this season. That's still what I want this season. So resting, I wouldn't rest players to start the game. I would rest players during the game, provided you're winning it comfortably. Not a 1-0. This has to be like a 2-0, 3-0, comfortable, dominant performance where you know that bringing out Enzo Fernandez or bringing off Caicedo or giving Reece James 20 minutes or taking out Liam Delap or bringing out those players isn't going to change things too much. So yeah, I think for me, yeah, you can't rest players at this point in the season. For me, you have to play your best 11, try and get the win early, have a comfortable performance, and then you start thinking about dropping out certain players. So that's just how I would play the game personally. But let me know what you think. My prediction for this game, I'm going to go 3-0. I think we're going to win comfortable. I think it's going to be an easy game for us. It's a 12:30, so it's never easy. Could mess up your whole weekend. Imagine. But let me know what you think in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe. Thank you for anyone who's been tuning into the live stream. Make sure you hit the Linktree link in the description as well. We'll be back tomorrow after the game, after 12:30's kickoff game, with the match review of the game. Hopefully 3 points. Of course, Barcelona, Arsenal next week. So we've got some big games coming up. Let's hope this next 7 days starts off very well for Chelsea. Until then, enjoy your weekend and we'll be back soon.